Hello, and thank you for logging on to view our first installment of Conversations with a Counselor. This is a new series of events the Pioneer Valley High School counselors are putting on this year. It gives us an opportunity to take some of the subjects that we touch on in our annual grade level parent meetings and delve a little deeper, get a little deeper into those topics. It also allows us an opportunity to touch base with parents on some other topics that we don't get to talk about during those times. So we know that your time is precious and parents are busy. We wanted to meet with you in a way that made things the easiest on you. So we are scheduling these meetings over Zoom, and we hope that next time you'll be able to attend over Zoom. And we will also be recording them each month and putting them on our YouTube channel so that if you aren't able to attend, you still get the information that you need. Okay, so tonight our topic is A through G, what it takes to get into a four-year university. We're going to go over the 4 systems of higher education. We'll be talking about the A through G course requirements for attending a four-year university or being able to apply to a four-year university. We're going to go over GPA, or grade point average, community service and extracurricular activities, college entrance exams, and then in our Zoom events, we will offer opportunities for parent questions. So we'll try and keep these presentations short so that parents have the opportunity to ask questions not only about the presentation, but so that we can just have an open-ended conversation with them, answering any general questions they may have about what's going on at Pioneer Valley High School and about their children's education. Okay, so I'm going to start with the 4 systems of higher education. I'll begin with community colleges. We have 116 community colleges in the state of California, and there are hundreds throughout the nation. The closest one to us should be familiar to you. It is Allen Hancock Community College. The only requirement to attend a community college is that a student is 18 years old or has graduated from high school. So they don't look at anything else. They look at the fact that you either have a high school diploma or that you're at least 18 years old, and you can go to any community college. There is a fee to attend community colleges, but most community colleges have agreements with local union high school districts to provide a benefit. So for instance, Hancock, our students get that first year free through the Hancock Promise, okay? So that, and they do this throughout the state of California, so that students attending a certain high school do have the opportunity to attend their local community college for free or at a reduced rate. Community colleges offer the opportunity for students to earn an associate's degree. So this is generally considered a 2-year degree. That doesn't mean that it takes 2 years. That's just the way it's thought of. But those are associate's degrees in various subject areas. They also offer opportunities for vocational training. So some students graduate from high school and want to be an auto mechanic or a cosmetologist or a veterinary technician. And those are very specific programs, very focused programs where students can earn a certificate or a credential in that area and then are able to get a job in that specific field. Community colleges also offer a terrific benefit for our high school students, which is concurrent enrollment. So our students are able to take classes at Hancock College right now. They take some of them on our campus, and they are able to take them through the Hancock College campus and start working towards their college transcript and earn credit here at the high school. The thing I think probably the community colleges are most known for is the opportunity to transfer to a 4-year university. So in order to get a 4-year bachelor's degree, there are certain requirements that a student has to complete. And there are about half of those are general education requirements. So in order to make sure all of our college graduates are well-rounded, they take a variety of courses in different subject areas, history and English and math and social sciences, kind of just like high school. And all students take those classes when they're working towards their 4-year degree. At the community college, students have the opportunity to complete those requirements and then transfer to a 4-year university where they will then focus on their degree specialty. So that's a terrific opportunity for students in a lot of ways. Number one, community colleges are less expensive, especially if their local community colleges offer free tuition to local high school graduates. Also, it offers opportunities for students who don't quite meet the entrance requirements to go to the four-year university of their choice. So when a student transfers, the university no longer looks at anything they did in high school, but only at their community college transcript. So that's an opportunity for students who maybe can't get into their four-year university for whatever reason to complete those lower division requirements and then transfer. And they can transfer to CSUs, UCs, or private. But since our topic tonight is basically how to get into a four-year university right out of high school, we'll go over the other systems of higher education. But just keep in mind that the community college is a pathway to the four-year university. All right. So the second system is the California State University system. So the local Cal State University is Cal Poly, but there are 23 Cal States up and down California, from San Diego State all the way up to Humboldt State. These have specific requirements for students to be able to apply. Students apply in the fall of their senior year of high school. They need to meet the A through G requirements, and we'll be going over those in a bit. They need to have a minimum GPA, meet the minimum GPA or grade point average requirements. And for the Cal State, that will be 2.5. And before I move on from that, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in the GPA requirement, but when people apply to colleges, there are a lot of applicants, way more than there are seats for them at all universities. And so meeting the minimum requirements is really not where it's at for these students. They really need to go above and beyond. So even though I tell you what the minimum GPA is, your student needs to be focused at a higher GPA in the threes for sure for a CSU. All right, and then they're going to need to take college entrance exams, the SAT or the ACT, and I'll talk about those later as well. At the CSU, students can earn a bachelor's degree, so that's a 4-year degree. Again, doesn't always take 4 years. And if they've transferred, it's less at the CSU. So if they complete part of them at the community college, then they would expect to have only 2 years at the CSU, but sometimes students take a little longer. And then they have opportunities once they've earned their bachelor's degrees to earn advanced degrees and credentials like a master's degree or a teaching credential. The next system of higher education is the University of California. There are 9 University of California campuses in California. So our closest one is UC Santa Barbara. There's UC Davis, UC LA, lots of well-known universities. The requirements for this to attend UC right out of high school are a little different. They do include A through G. That's important. And then there is a minimum GPA, although it is higher for the University of California. The minimum GPA is a 3.0. And again, they're going to be looking at students with much higher grade point averages than that. And then the University of California uses multiple measures to admit applicants. So they don't just look at those two things and admit students. They also look at something called personal insight questions. So each student who applies has a series of questions they answer, and the universities have people who read those questions to kind of get an idea for the candidates that are applying so that they can make decisions about the students they are letting into the university and kind of making sure that their campuses have a really well-rounded and diverse group of students who each bring something special to the university. And then they're also going to look at extracurricular activities. So we'll go over those as well. Again, bachelor's degree is the main degree, and then advanced degrees and credentials. CSUs are generally considered a little more hands-on, and UCs a little more research focused, but both great options. UCs are a little bit more expensive to attend than CSUs. And then finally, we have our private universities. There are 83 private universities in California alone, many more throughout the United States. Probably the most well-known in California is Stanford, but there are, several, Westmont and Santa Clara University and St. Mary's University. A lot of private universities do have a faith affiliation, but not all of them. Some have specific focus as far as their degrees. Most require the A through G requirements, but not all of them. So that will depend on your student kind of looking up the requirements for each private universities because they vary so much. We don't always have that information, but we're happy to look up that information with your student and kind of help them as they explore schools. GPA requirements may also vary. So some may have a high GPA requirement and some may be lower than a 3.0. Most will require those college entrance exams. Most will require some kind of personal statement, and most will require extracurricular activities. Again, they offer bachelor's degrees and advanced degrees and credentials. Private universities are generally more expensive than the CSUs or the UCs. However, their financial aid packages are usually stronger because they come from private sources. So that's something to consider when your student does start to look at where they want to attend college after high school. Okay, so I keep talking about the A through G requirements. Now, if you've attended any of our parent nights, which I hope you have seen these before. Your student sees these every single year, at least once a year, if not more. So your students are getting this information. Please, we start with them in the 8th grade. Before they even come to high school, we go over these, and we go over them every single year. But these are the requirements that they need to meet to apply to a four-year university right out of high school. They are not different than our high school recommendation or high school graduation requirements necessarily. They are sort of embedded in our high school graduation requirements. So it's not in addition to graduation requirements, I think is the point that I'm trying to get across. All right, so let's go through these. They're called A through G requirements simply because there's a letter assigned to each one. So the letter A stands for the history and social sciences area, and 2 years are required to meet the college entrance requirements. So your student's going to take modern world history in sophomore year and U.S. history in junior year, and that covers that requirement. They're also going to go on and take government and econ in their senior year, and that's going to go above and beyond that requirement. So we'll talk about that down in electives. All students at Pioneer Valley High School take English for 4 years. So 4 years is what's required of college prep English, and that is what your students, for the most part, will take. All right. In math, they require that your student take Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. There's a minimum of 3 years. So if your student completes Algebra 2 in their sophomore or junior year, because a few of our students do come in having already taken Algebra 1 and start in geometry, they recommend that your student goes above and beyond that and takes math analysis, statistics, calculus, because even though it's 3 years required, it's 4 years recommended. They want to see students challenging themselves and taking math all 4 years. They need 2 laboratory sciences, 2 years in biology and chemistry. Your student actually does fulfill that through our requirements. So your student takes physics of the universe their freshman year, biology of the living earth their sophomore year, and chemistry in their junior year, should they pass physics of the universe and biology with C's or above in their freshman and sophomore year. And then we have a lot of science electives that are also available to them so that they can go above and beyond those 2 years. They need to take a minimum of 2 years of a foreign language. So that is not a requirement for high school, but for graduate or for A through G requirements it is. So here at Pioneer Valley, we offer Spanish and French. They would need to take 2 years of that, and they do want to see them move above and beyond that. Now, a few students start out really high up, so they might start out at the 2nd level or the 3rd level of the language, or even in an AP class, an advanced class, and they would get credit for those other years by only taking the 1 year. But that's a really specific distinction that we would go over with your student at the time. Visual and performing arts, all but one of our visual and performing arts classes offered at Pioneer Valley are college prep and do meet the A through G requirements. So your student would just schedule one of those. And then college prep electives. So if your student's taking college prep classes, which most of the courses we offer at Pioneer Valley are A through G requirements and our college prep, they're going to get that college prep elective. In addition, they're going to take that government and econ class their senior year. So they're going to have some extra college prep electives. So these A through G requirements do require that students earn C's or better in these classes. They do not accept D's. But as long as they earn C's or better in these classes, these are the courses that the universities are looking at when they look at your college applications. Your students aren't putting in their PE grades or their health grades or their non-college prep elective grades, only these college prep electives. Now, one thing that I do want to make sure that parents understand is that aside from 2 exceptions, every single one of our students who comes into Pioneer Valley is placed from day one in courses that meet A through G requirements. So those 2 exceptions, let me tell you what those are first. There are some students with individualized education plans, and they have special learning needs and will be placed in courses based on their individual education plan. So that's something that parents are involved in and they're aware of. And it won't be a surprise if their student is not in a college prep class in English or math or history or a science, because we're meeting that student where they are and meeting those individual needs. The other exception is students who are newcomers to our country and do not speak English. So if we get a student who doesn't speak English, obviously, along with meeting graduation requirements, we're going to be focusing on making sure they learn English. So their English classes at the beginning are not going to be college prep. And that's okay, because we need to help them develop those English language skills and math skills. If their math is a little bit lower, we do have one math class lower than algebra for those students if they need it. And then they continue to meet their graduation requirements. So those are the 2 exceptions. But other than that, every single student starts out in some version of Algebra 1 and in every other college prep A through G requirement class. And they are scheduled to do that all 4 years. The thing that changes that is student engagement in that. So if students don't take the opportunity that is offered to them, if they don't do the work, if they don't earn the C's or above, then they may fall off A through G track, because it does require buy-in from the students. They do have to do the work. They do have to get the grades. They do have to take advantage of the supports we offer through tutoring and teacher help and counselor help. And they do need to keep themselves informed. So please keep that in mind, that we offer our students that opportunity to complete these college entrance requirements. Okay, so earlier we talked about GPA and why is the GPA important. So as I said before, there's a minimum GPA for applying for university, but minimum is not necessarily going to do the job. Your students need to push themselves above and beyond the minimum in all areas. So just like in their A through G courses, they want to see they move above and beyond in science or above and beyond in math. They want to see them move above and beyond in GPA and not just meet the minimums. So grade points, and your student's grade point average is on the transcript, and your counselor can go over that with you at any time. But it's basically each grade is assigned a grade point. A's are worth 4 points, B's are worth 3, C's are worth 2, D's are worth 1, and F's are worth 0. And they take the number of courses they add up the grade points for each grade letter the student earns, and then divide that by the number of courses to get the GPA. So this is the sweet spot, 2.0 to 4.0. That's where we want to see our students so that they are meeting those A through G requirements, okay? There are opportunities for students to earn higher than a 4.0. So sometimes you hear about students who have a 4.5, 4.6 grade point average. The way they are doing that is by taking honors and advanced placement classes. So most of our classes are college prep, and they count towards the grade point average. If your student takes an honors class or an advanced placement class or a concurrent class here on campus, not college now, but concurrent on campus, they earn an extra grade point. So say a student earns straight A's, they would have a 4.0. However, if 2 of those classes were an honors or an advanced placement class, they would get a 5 for that A. So that's how, when we calculate it, it comes out higher than a 4.0. Okay. So another requirement that I mentioned is taking the college entrance exam. There are 2, the SAT and the ACT. Most of the California universities want students taking the SAT. They will accept the ACT, but just in general, most California students take the SAT. A lot of out-of-state schools do prefer the ACT. They each cover basically the same thing, English and math. The ACT does cover science, and the score ranges are a little bit different, but they do matter. And so I think the most important thing, if you wanted to go away with anything this year, are number 1, the SAT and the ACT are something parents have to pay for. Students have to sign up on their own. We do not offer these college entrance exams on our campus. The students sign up through the College Board website or the ACT website. They pay a fee, and then they go to a specific place and take that test. And they take these starting at the end of their junior year, and then right through the summer and very beginning of their senior year before they send off those college applications. And there are fee waivers available. So if your student qualifies for free and reduced lunch, oftentimes we can get them a fee waiver because they are a little bit pricey, especially when the students need to take more than one. But what we do offer here on our campus are practice opportunities for the SAT. So we have what is called the Practice SAT or PSAT offered on our campus in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. So 11th graders will do that this October, and in March, we'll have our 9th and 10th graders take a practice exam. That does come with a fee for parents. It is usually less than $20. And the way students find out about it, we announce it through Parent Square, we announce it on the bulletin, because we only have so much space. So it's important that your students pay attention to when those are coming up and pay attention to those announcements so they can sign up for those slots that we do have available. And then the student will take that on our campus and they'll get a score report, and it will give them an idea not only of what the test is like, but how they'll do on it. So they know, do I need to go get some special tutoring? Do I need to buy a prep book? Where do I need to improve? Is it math or is it reading or science? Where do I need help on? So that's a really good opportunity for students to prepare themselves for those college entrance exams. Okay, extracurricular activities. As I mentioned, for private schools and UCs, they will be looking at things your students do beyond their grade point average and their test scores. And so your student needs to be involved. And actually, I would say that every student needs to be involved. It really shouldn't matter if they're applying to a four-year university right out of high school. Getting involved in activities, whether that's on campus or off, that's important to our students. Getting involved in on-campus activities helps students feel more engaged and more a part of our campus. And doing things outside of the campus gives students sort of a buy-in to our community. It makes them feel like a part of our community, and it also keeps kids busy. So it helps them organize their time. It helps them stay out of trouble. So I would recommend that all students be involved in something outside of the school day. But for UC and private universities, this is an important part of the application process. And when your student does apply to college, they're also going to be applying for scholarships and financial aid. And a lot of those scholarship applications will look at these extracurricular activities. So this is something that's really important. So we have lots of clubs and organizations on campus. We have things like band and FFA, and we have a lot of clubs that take place during lunch in a lot of different areas. Students are even able to start their own clubs if they have a specific interest that and they have a group of kids who want to get together and talk about that. So generally clubs just meet once a week at lunch, and we encourage kids to get involved not just one time, but for the whole time they're on campus, and to take leadership roles in those clubs and organizations, because universities and scholarships really like to see that kids go that extra mile and really like to see consistency in what students are involved in. So clubs on campus are an easy way to do this, because really it's just usually one lunchtime a week, right? And then community service, lots of opportunities around this area. There are beach cleanups in the area. Students can go to the Humane Society and read to the animals. They can volunteer at the local hospital. They can volunteer at their church. So lots of opportunities there. Sports, I think a lot of times parents think sports is the extra thing kids should do, and that has some sort of higher benefit to them. But really, if your child plays sports, that's terrific. They don't have to be the best athlete ever, but it does show colleges and universities and scholarships foundations that students are good at managing their time, because not only have they gotten the grades they need to get into university, but they played a sport, which they know takes a lot of time and effort. So that says a lot. And then work experience. Not every student is able to play sports outside of school. Not every student has the time to do community service, because some of our students need to work. They need to help provide for their families. They need to help pay for their extra things that they need. So having a job is another great thing to put on an application, whether for university or scholarship. So keeping a job over these several years of high school, and that can even mean babysitting for the family. So if your student is the person who's in charge of taking care of their younger siblings after school because you need to work, that is also something that universities will look at when they apply. So lots of opportunities. I do encourage you to help your student get involved in some way, in one of these ways. Okay, so some final points. These, like I said, these college entrance requirements are reviewed with students at least once a year. Student transcripts are evaluated by the counselors twice a year. So we look at them at the end of the school year once all classes are in. And then, or so I should say at the beginning of the school year, because we wait until any summer school classes come in. And then we do it again at the semester because we use those semester transcripts to plan for our students' registration. When we go into their class, we provide those students with their transcript, show them where they are, any classes they need to make up, show them where they are as far as meeting A through G requirements. And that's our time to talk to them about what they need to do to get back on track. Any student, again, capable of meeting college entrance requirements is encouraged to do so. We start them out that way, we encourage them the whole time, and we hope they buy in and try to do that because honestly, the name of the game is really options. Your student may not want to go straight to a university. They might decide they want to go in the military, or that Hancock is a better option for them, or they might want to do something else completely different. However, they want to have that option. We want them to have that option when they get to their senior year of high school, so that if they choose at that time to apply to university, they are able to do so. It's a choice at that point, and they aren't forced into any one sort of choice, that they have lots of options. All right, and then I wanted to say that parents are encouraged to schedule an appointment with your student's counselor to review your student's A through G status and post-secondary goals. Our counselors are available to you. If you have questions, you can email us, you can call us. But if you want to come sit down and go over the transcript and go over the A through G and see where your student is right now and what they do need to do, if that's their choice to apply to a four-year university right out of high school, we are happy to do that with you. All right, so thank you very much for attending our presentation or viewing our presentation. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact your student's counselor.